Hey y'all, it's Missniecytv and I'm here to do a review of Zatima Season 3, Episode 10. The episode picks up where left off and Zach is still beating Jeremiah up to oblivion. He is doing that boy something bad. Connie tries to go down there and help, but she winds up getting flung off of Zach's back because she jumps on him. She falls to the ground. Zach is still going, calling Jeremiah all types of names, telling him he's the reason that their mom died and all his trauma is because of him. Then we see two people recording the fight, and this is how we know the video gets out, because in episode 11, I think, or 12, whichever one was leaked, Angela tells Fatima that there was a video like beating up Jeremiah, and I'm like, next thing we know, we see Zach trying to pick up a pole to hit Jeremiah with it. That's when Tony and Nate tackle him to the ground. Zach is screaming, cussing, and doing all this other stuff. But I'm glad that Tony and Nate tackled Zach to the ground when they did, because if they didn't, Jeremiah would have been a goner for real. Connie is trying to help Jeremiah to see if he's alright, and the next thing we know, we see Zach doing the most disrespectful thing anybody can do to someone. He spits on Jeremiah, and I'm like, Zach, you already beat the man halfway to death. You didn't have to spit on him too. Connie and Nate are trying to check on Jeremiah to see if he's still breathing because he got beat up that bad. Jeremiah is faintly still breathing. Connie is like, we gotta get him to a hospital. These folks do not call an ambulance, not a police, not nothing. They decided to pick this man up and walk him to the car themselves. They don't know if this man has internal bleeding or what. Something could happen to him on the way to the hospital as they're driving, and it would be on them. They decided not to call the ambulance. Over at Angela's house, we see Angela sitting on the couch on the phone, right? Of course we know it's Fatima, and so Fatima's like, it's Fatima, and Angela's like, I'm sleeping. Angela doesn't want to deal with Fatima because of what Fatima said at her house. Angela doesn't do nothing. So she opens the door with her key, and Fatima's like, you forgot I had a key? Fatima's like, I came to apologize. Angela's like, you really hurt my feelings. I'm doing the best that I can, and this dating stuff is hard. Fatima's like, I know, and I really shouldn't have said that. Angela's like, you really meant what you said, though. Fatima's like, yeah. Fatima's like, I could have found a better way to say it, though. Angela's like, well, I still need to hear it. Angela's like, you made it sound real bad. Fatima's like, it's not that bad. I just wanted to let you know how I felt. Fatima's like, I just want you to find someone that will treat you good and love you. Angela's like, who is that? Fatima's like, yeah, he's actually a good man. Angela's like, yeah, I know, but you're working really hard to keep him a good man. Fatima's like, Zach got a lot of issues. Angela's like, yeah, I know, but he really loves you. He even fought his own brother for you. Fatima's like, yeah, and I don't even feel good about it. A man will want their girl not to be in all this BS either. Angela's like, yeah, I get that. Fatima's like, when Zach sees red, he don't hear nothing. He loses all rationale. Angela's like, basically like somebody else I know. Fatima's like, who are you talking about? Angela's like, well, if the shoe was on the other foot and somebody came after Zach, you would be after them too. And Fatima's like, I see you're alone. Angela's like, sorry to break it to you, but I'm not alone. Fatima's like, what? Angela's like, yeah, I got somebody upstairs. Angela's like, you can stay if you want to. Fatima's like, no, I'ma just go home. Angela's like, Fatima, no, stay. Over at Zach and Fatima's, we have Deja talking to Zach about everything that happened at her birthday party and now. Zach is like, if you wasn't playing loud music and having people blocking the driveway, she probably wouldn't have to do that. Deja's like, what type of landlord are you? Zach is like, I'm a good one, apparently, because you still live here. Deja tells Zach that she's calling the cops on Fatima, and Zach is like, you might want to let that go. Deja, being nosy as she is, she's like, Zach, what happened to your hand? Zach is like, mind your business. Deja's like, you are my business, you're my neighbor. Zach goes in the house and Deja calls the cops. Deja been calling the cops this whole entire episode. Has any cop showed up? No. Well, a cop does show up, and it's not until the very next morning, and it doesn't even have nothing to do with the Deja and Fatima situation. Zach goes in the house and he has a conversation with Tony, and Tony is like, do you feel better now? Zach is like, yeah. Zach is like, you're the reason why I gotta wrap my hand up anyway. Tony is like, it don't even look like you needed my help. You blacked out. That wasn't even about Fatima. That was a different type of rage. Tony asked him, does he feel better now? And Zach's still going on with the story that he feels better. And Tony's like, no, you don't. Because you always fight with Jeremiah and you feel like crap after. Tony's like, I know you're going to want to talk to him. Zach is like, no, I'm not. Tony's like, yes, you are, because you always fight with Jeremiah and y'all make up. Zach is like, yeah, but this time it's different. Look at all the drugs he's on. Zach is like, yeah, he's a zombie now. Tony's like, he's always been on. Zach is like, it's different. Tony's like, well, have you ever asked yourself why you got on them drugs in the first place? Zach is like, no, and I don't care to know why. Tony's like, well, you know how two people could be in one place and have two different experiences? Look how you turned out versus how he turned out. Zach is like, well, him and my mom both made those decisions and it's on them. Zach is like, are we done with this conversation so I could get some rest? Tony is like, you're actually gonna get some rest after this? Zach is like, yeah. like a baby too. Then Tony started asking about Fatima and where she was and have he called her and has he talked to her, and Zach is like, no, this is what she does. She leaves and she doesn't answer my calls. Tony's like, well, do you want me to call her? Zach is like, yeah, call her. So Tony leaves, and as he leaves, he's getting approached by Deja, and she's like, what's going on with Zach? Tony's like, do I look like Nate to you? Deja's like, no, I'm just asking questions. Tony's like, you mad nosy. And Deja's like, when you talk to Fatima, tell her I'm calling the cops. Tony winds up calling Fatima. He tells her that Zach is at the house, and Tony asked her, was she coming home tonight? And she was like, when I feel like talking to him, I'll come back. And she's like, so what did you and Zach do today? Tony's like, well, he went boxing and stuff. Fatima's like, are you lying? Tony's like, why would I lie to you, Fatima? Then Tony tells her about Deja and calling the cops, and Fatima's like, I don't care. And then she hangs up on Tony. And Tony's like, they both cried. Over at the hospital, we see Connie and Nate talking as they're waiting for results and news on Jeremiah. Connie's like, Nate, come here and let me know if you see anything. Nate is like, well, you have a bald spot and 2 braids. Connie's like, I'm never breaking up a fight between Zach and Jeremiah again. The first time I broke my nail, and now this time I have 2 braids out my head and a bald. Connie is talking about how Zach blacked out, and Nate is talking about it's gonna be okay. Connie is like, I don't know, cause Zach snapped and he scared me. Nate is like, it's gonna be alright, everybody gonna be alright. We family, it's gonna be okay. Connie's like, if we family, we gotta include Fatima too. Nate is like, why we gotta include Fatima? Connie's like, well, if Zach loves her, we gotta love her too. Then they start talking about how they should have told Zach in the beginning because he wouldn't have blacked out like this. And Connie is like, well, Jeremiah did get beat up pretty bad, and I don't know if he's gonna recover from this. Nate is like, what you mean? Connie's like, he's older now. Connie is like, everybody grew up except you. What's going on with you and Belinda? Nate is like, we're just dating. Connie is like, Belinda don't date nobody. She likes to get down to business. Connie is like, what happened between you and Lori? Nate is like, well, you know me and Lori wasn't gonna work out, but Lori crazy. As Nate is thinking and wanting to do better, they hear cold blue glow blue emergency in the direction of Jeremiah's room. And they're like, what happened? Do you think Jeremiah died? Nate is like, nah, he alright. Connie is like, I don't know. Nate tries to pull out his phone and call somebody. Connie's like, we can't do that. We don't know if he's actually dead yet. Over at Angela's, we see Bryce and Angela talking, and Angela's like, I just wanted to talk to you because Fatima said something to me about men, and I wanted to see what you thought. Bryce is like, what did she say? And Angela's like, she said I can't commit and I always have men. And Bryce is like, you can't commit. You want to control everything and you let them fall first. Angela's like, dang. Angela's like, you had that in the chamber waiting? Bryce is like, no, it's not a bad thing either. Angela's like, it sounded like a bad thing to me. Bryce is like, no, it's not. But if that's how you want to live your life, it's up to you. And that's when Fatima comes downstairs. Bryce speaks to her. He tells her that he knows everything that's going on, and he gave Preston Dr. Reed's number so that Dr. Reed and Zach could have a conversation. And Fatima's like, I hope everything went well. Fatima leaves so she can get ready for work, and Angela's like, I'm right behind you, but I want to finish the conversation with Bryce first. So they go back to the conversation, and Bryce is like, well, it's going to take more than a few minutes. Bryce is like, it actually all stems from your childhood. Fatima finally makes it home, and Deja sees her, and she's like, since you're home now from running the streets, I'm going to call the cops. Fatima's like, okay, call him, but you ain't going to get nowhere. I also tell him that I'm 5'6", blonde hair, with a fat butt. Fatima finally makes it in the house, and she sees the evidence of blood and gauze and tape on the table. And she's like, what the heck happened? Zach, Fatima ain't teach you nothing to always get rid of the evidence after a crime. Fatima calls Tony to ask him what happened, but Tony continues to lie, so Fatima doesn't want to hear anymore, so she hangs up. That's when Zach comes down the stairs, and she's like, tell me that this is not Jeremiah's blood on you. Zach doesn't say nothing. He's like, I feel better though. Fatima's like, I bet you do. Zach is like, I don't want to talk about this no more. Fatima's like, whatever you say, Zach. As they're talking, Fatima gets a knock on the door. It's the cops, and they're with Deja, and she thinks it's for her, but it's not for her. It's for Zach. And they're like, Zachary Taylor? Fatima's like, what you want him for? Zach steps up, and he's like, Zachary Taylor, you're under arrest for the murder of Jeremiah Matthews. And they're both like, what? Fatima's in shock because she don't know what happened. Zach steps outside, and they're like, Zach, you're resisting arrest. Zach is like, I'm not. They finally get the handcuffs on him, and Zach is looking at Fatima like, and Fatima's looking at him like, Zach, I'm done. But Zach is locked up, they won't let him out. But let me know what you guys think about the episode. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on bell notifications. Bye!